30 seconds and counting. Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds. 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Fanatics, C-Bot here with you live Monday night right here on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel. It's the Smoke Break, and it is Super Bowl week. Man, we should be getting ready for a game, shouldn't we? What are you going to do? 2 weeks removed, I feel a little bit better, obviously. Time heals all. Time heals all. Not going to fully ever heal this one, but, you know. Time goes on. Time goes on, and we do have a game to watch this week. It is, of course, Super Bowl 56, the Cincinnati Bengals. I still can't get over it. The Cincinnati Bengals and the LA Rams. We're going to dive into a deep preview of that game later on in the show. Real good buddy of mine, Ryan Ram Edinger. The reason we call him Ram is because he's such a diehard Rams fan. He's going to come on later to talk about the Super Bowl, the Rams' chances. And one thing I think that we could all be interested in here as Bills fans, we talked about it a bit last week, getting to that point, the Super Bowl. You can do it two ways. You can do it like the Bengals just did through the draft, young players, a miracle run, or you can do it the way the Rams did, spend an infinite amount of money in free agency and offseason signings, give away every single draft pick you have to your name, and get to the Super Bowl that way too. So we'll talk to him a little bit about how he feels about the Rams mortgaging their future for their current present as they're off to the Super Bowl this coming Sunday. But before we get into the Super Bowl, we got to talk about them Buffalo Bills, of course. A lot going on for the Bills this past week since I last saw you. And that, of course, will start today with the most recent news. And the Bills have a brand new offensive line coach. Of course, Brian Daboll took Bobby Johnson, last year's offensive line coach for the Bills, to the Giants with him. And hopefully, you know, the poaching from the Giants and Daboll does not wind up continuing. But that was one guy that Brian Daboll had brought with him to take over the Giants with. And the person filling the role is now Aaron Cromer. And Aaron Cromer was the Bills offensive line coach in 2015 and 2016. So obviously some familiarity there. He's going to come back and fill that same role once again this coming season. He had spent 2 years, speaking of those Rams, with the Rams after his stint with the Bills. Did not coach last year, so he had a year off. But Aaron Cromer, as of about an hour ago today, is now named the Bills offensive line coach, and he is one of three coaches that the Bills have brought in within the last week. So the offensive line situation after Bobby Johnson's departure has now been filled. The one most recent to that is Joe Brady. He is now the Bills quarterback coach after, of course, Ken Dorsey gets promoted to offensive coordinator. We'll touch on him in a second here. But Joe Brady, a popular young name throughout the NFL, has now been grabbed by the Buffalo Bills to fill in Ken Dorsey's former spot. He is now the Bills QB coach. Pretty impressive track record for Joe Brady at such a young age. He's only 32 years old, and he's done a little bit of everything throughout his coaching career thus far. So we'll give you a bit of a rundown on Joe Brady. If you don't know him, here is the synopsis. So Brady was a linebacker coach for William and Mary, and that's where he played football. Now you're like, well, I've heard of William and Mary before. Well, that's because our head coach played for William and Mary. Sean McDermott, of course, is a graduate of William and Mary, played football there, and was an assistant coach there upon graduating, as was Joe Brady. So a lot of familiarity between McDermott and Brady as far as that is concerned. Once he finished his brief stint at William and Mary as a linebacker coach, he'd move on to Penn State, where he was a grad assistant for the Nittany Lions as he got his master's degree. And then following that, it was off to the NFL for Joe Brady, and he got a lot of valuable experience under one of the greater offensive minds that the game has seen in recent years, and that, of course, is Sean Payton, the newly retired Sean Payton. He was an offensive assistant underneath Sean Payton for the Saints in 2017. And if you look at the statistics for the Saints offense in 2017, doesn't get a whole lot better. They were unbelievably dominant on offense in 2017, top 5 in virtually every offensive statistic. So Joe Brady played a hand in that as well. A different way of spelling the word F-U-C-K, I don't even know how to say that without saying the word, comes in and said he also coached Joe Burrow. You are correct, my friend. He would then go on after his stint with the Saints to coach what might be the greatest college football team of all time, and that was the 2019 LSU Tigers. Of course, Joe Burrow was the quarterback of that team. They also had Jamar Chase, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That team was absolutely stacked. They went 15-0 that year, as I'm sure you all know, won the national championship. So he's already got experience with a Super Bowl quarterback in Joe Burrow, and I think he'll have plenty of experience with another Super Bowl potential quarterback as the years go on here with Josh Allen. But he was a part of what many would argue to be the greatest college football team of all time, one of the greatest college offenses of all time, no question. So he was a passing game coordinator and wide receiver coach during that period for LSU. So good, in fact, during his time there. And I see Andy coming in, also Justin Jefferson. So hard to keep track of the names that were on that LSU team. It was basically a junior varsity NFL team that year. Incredible the year that LSU had. Incredible the downfall they had right afterwards. It was just an absolute peak and then a nosedive. But, you know, in this game, man, you take those peaks when you can get them. There's trade-offs, right? I mean, Joe Burrow, nobody wanted him, right? Over at Ohio State, couldn't get a chance, goes to LSU, starts, and the rest is history, right? So Joe Brady was a part of that team. So good, in fact, like I was just saying, that he won the Broyles Award in 2019, which is an award given to the best assistant coach in college football. So, hey, he's got the title of best assistant coach in college football on his mantle. I'll take that. I'll take that on my team any day. And then after his time with LSU, he comes back to the NFL, and this was his most recent gig. He was with the poor, to say the least, Carolina Panthers offense. He was the offensive coordinator under Matt Rule the last couple of seasons. Now, he did get fired this past season. Now, Matt Rule was questioned, of course, like all coaches are after a firing, as to why he got rid of Joe Brady in that position. And he said it was due to a lack of familiarity with Joe Brady. What we can see for the Bills quite clearly is familiarity is key. And we'll get into that with Ken Dorsey in a minute. But familiarity is big with this Bills team. I think that's the reason why they promoted Ken Dorsey. And as you can see, it's just a list of Carolina Panthers affiliates up and down. Obviously, Sean McDermott. Now you have Joe Brady. It's just that there's familiarity there. I think that means a lot when it comes to continuity of a team. So clearly to Matt Rule, that element of the coaching staff was not there between him and Joe Brady. You got to think it's probably there already with Sean McDermott and Joe Brady, seeing that he, went to the same school, played for the same school, coached for the same school, and then had his time coaching for the Carolina Panthers, which of course Sean McDermott did as well. So there's that. Joe Brady coming in 32 years old, and he's now taking over the reins of quarterback coach for the Bills. And listen, right now, that's a gig that anybody and their mama would want to have. Coming on in, and you get full access to Josh Allen and all that comes with him. And you got to think a great hire in the sense of, I talked about this last week. When you look at the way the Bills are built, of course, and they're built around Sean McDermott, who is a defensive mind, a defensive coach. oftentimes when your head coach is a defensive mind, you see your OC become a carousel. We just saw Brian Dable leave, and that's because, you look at other teams that are offensive minded, for instance, the Chiefs. Okay, so you have Andy Reid. He's an offensive mind. If you lose your OC, still Eric Bieniemy without a job, make it make sense. I don't understand it at all. But if and when Eric Bieniemy leaves, you have, your offense intact or your offensive scheme intact because Andy Reid's mostly calling the shots. With the Bills, the offense mostly comes down to the OC. And if you have guys in place that can take over, that's crucial. So if you get Joe Brady in, does a good job at the quarterback coaching position like Ken Dorsey did, builds those relationships. If Ken Dorsey does an incredible job with the Bills over the next couple of seasons and he gets offered a head coaching job, position could be there for Joe Brady. You got to think 2 steps ahead at all times. So, I like the hire. Everybody else seems to be really enthusiastic about the hire. And the cool thing is you're getting in a young gun who's already got offensive coordinator experience. He's got experience with a variety of different quarterbacks, elite level like Joe Burrow. And then, Sam Darnold, Cam Newton, Teddy Bridgewater. What an upgrade for Joe Brady to go from Sam Darnold, Teddy Bridgewater, and Cam Newton to Josh Allen. Joe Brady's got to be stoked. He's got to be absolutely stoked for this new gig. I mean, that's going from, I don't know. I mean, and that's literally going from associate to CEO when it comes to the clients you're working with. So Joe Brady, quarterback coach for the Buffalo Bills. Excited to see what he's got in store for Josh Allen this coming season. And speaking of the guy who has an incredible relationship with Josh Allen, and we know this because Josh Allen was a major advocate for him to get this position, Ken Dorsey promoted to Bills offensive coordinator. As soon as Dable left for the Giants, the Bills really wasted no time. Only a couple days in between Dable leaving and Ken Dorsey being promoted to offensive coordinator. I think a lot of people saw this coming. The Bills did interview outside of Ken Dorsey. They took a look at wide receiver coach from the Ravens, T. Martin, as well as wide receiver coach from the Raiders, Edgar Bennett. But it seemed inevitable throughout the Bills community that they were going to promote Ken Dorsey. Sean McDermott came out and said that Josh Allen would play a major role in the decision the Bills would make for offensive coordinator, and it clearly seemed like his guy was Ken Dorsey. And that's who they wind up going with. Right after the loss to the Chiefs in the divisional round, Josh Allen was asked about the situation, and Josh Allen said, "I think every quarterback would love to be a part of that process, and I do know there's a guy in the building that I'm a huge advocate of." And now when he says would love to be a part of that process, he means the hiring process. Of course, Sean McDermott came out and said Josh Allen would be a critical part in that process. And obviously he was. He was an advocate for Joe Brady. That's who he wanted as the OC. And that's what wound up happening. So you love to see that, right? You see the dilemmas that are created when your quarterback, especially a quarterback with prominence like Josh Allen, you see the dilemmas that are created when that quarterback does not get a fair say, or a fair say in the sense of what he thinks is fair. Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, major issues, right? What's been the major issue for Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson the past couple of seasons? They felt like they did not have enough say. Now, Josh Allen's the type of guy, and he literally said this in that interview. He said that it's not his decision to make. Obviously, he'd love to be a part of it, but it's not his decision to make. Now, you love to hear that, right? Because this is how it should be run. Sean McDermott wants the input from Josh Allen, not the other way around. Josh Allen doesn't need to demand the input like we heard Rodgers demanding or Russell Wilson demanding. It should just be given, right? If Josh Allen is as good as he is, and we know he is, if Josh Allen is the biggest element of your offense, which he is, he should have a say in how the offense is run. Sean McDermott recognized that, and clearly that's the direction that they went in. I love that approach. Why create an issue that's not there? And you're doing it from the get-go too, by the way, which is great. Josh Allen, still a very young quarterback, and you're giving him say already. That just goes to show you the trust that they have in Josh Allen and vice versa. The trust he has in the coaching staff of the Bills to make the right choice to not only benefit him, of course, but in turn benefiting him benefits the entire organization. So that to me is awesome. I love seeing that. But Josh Allen wasn't the only advocate of Ken Dorsey. I mean, it seems like a ton of offensive players for the Bills are a major, major fan of Ken Dorsey and him being promoted to OC. As soon as he was announced that the job would be his, Isaiah McKenzie took to Twitter and he said, quote, "The Dorsey energy is unmatched on the sidelines." So love that. Apparently, Ken Dorsey's got some spitfire in him. Gabe Davis and Dawson Knox also took to Instagram to express their excitement for the hire as well. And then Diggs was asked about the hire, and he thought that it was crucial to keep the offense building. And he thought a big part of that was promoting in-house. And I love to see that, right? And that shows you a variety of different factors. One, you have the luxury of promoting in-house when your coaching staff is doing a terrific job. I mean, how often do we see this happen? Not that often, because usually when you're looking to fill coaching vacancies, you're doing so because you're looking for a fresh start. The Bills lost Brian Daboll because of how well of a job or how good of a job he's done over the last several seasons. And it just goes to show you how well structured the Bills are at this current moment, where they have the luxury of not even having to look outside the organization to promote to such a key spot. So I love that. And Deion Dawkins was asked the same question that Diggs was, how do you feel about the hire? And Deion Dawkins said, quote, "Everything starts with the quarterback, and the fact that Josh Allen is the most comfortable with Dorsey, the rest will fall into place." I mean, think about that. I mean, that really is true. He said that Dorsey is already one step ahead as the OC because he already has a special relationship with the players. Think about that. When you're hired into a new organization, the hardest job most of the time is building that relationship, right? When you get the job, those guys have been there. The majority of them have been there for a while, right? The coaching staff has been there. It's your job to earn the trust, build the relationship. That's already in store. That's already locked in right now. All it is a new title. All it is a new job for Ken Dorsey. He's got the relationship with Josh Allen. He's got the relationship with offense. Hell, Deion Dawkins even said every time the Bills score, he sprints over to Dorsey. So to me, do I know the in-depth analysis as to, hey, is Ken Dorsey the greatest offensive mind we ever see? Could he be the next guru for the Bills? That, I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I know it. But I'm going to take the word of the guys who have played underneath of him. And if Josh Allen is advocating for him, if Diggs is advocating for him, if Deion Dawkins is advocating for him, I mean, what more do I need to look into? What more do I need to look at? That's the guy that should have the job. And that's what wound up being the case. So I love it. The big thing here to me, though, that I love the most is the fact that the Bills have such a good structure in place right now that they are comfortable and capable of promoting within house to such a big spot. I mean, the OC is a massive, massive position for any team. And the ability to have a guy ready to rock and roll already in house after you lose a big piece of your coaching staff in Daboll is crucial. And clearly, the biggest aspect of here is it all comes down to Josh Allen, right? The offense is only going to go as far as Josh Allen goes. This was his guy. So I don't need to look into anything else outside of that. If Josh Allen wanted him, I trust it, full stop. It ends there. So to give a bit of background on Ken Dorsey prior to him coaching with the Bills as quarterback coach over the last couple of seasons. He actually won a national championship as the quarterback with the Miami Hurricanes all the way back in 2001. He also had a brief stint in the NFL from 2004 to 2008. And then he was the quarterback coach in Carolina from 2013 to 2017. So sound familiar? that lineage from the Panthers just continues to happen again and again and again and again for the Bills. So love the hire. Offensive coordinator spot is filled. Quarterback coaching spot is filled. And the offensive line coach is filled all within the span of a week. So the Bills are rocking and rolling right after that tough loss. No time to waste. Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott right back to work getting those spots filled. And from the looks of it, what's not to like? And obviously the biggest hire here, of course, is Ken Dorsey, just based on the position. And for all the reasons I just mentioned, I'm ecstatic about it. I mean, if Josh Allen, once again, how many times do I got to say it? It's just, that's how I feel. If Josh Allen wants this guy as his coach. Cool with me? Cool with me. As I said on the show last week, I could be the offensive coordinator for this team as long as Josh Allen is playing at an elite level and is given full control over the offense. So if you actually have a guy who not only has a tremendous amount of experience, but experience in the building and that relationship with Josh Allen, that to me is massive. So those 3 coaching spots are filled, and super excited to see, just how things change, if at all, under Ken Dorsey. Obviously, the success the Bills have had over the last couple of seasons has been under Brian Daboll. How will things change on offense under Ken Dorsey? Will Josh Allen be unleashed even further? Will there be more ways to utilize Josh Allen that we hadn't seen before? This is the excitement, obviously, when you have a new coach coming in. Obviously, there's fear there, right? You're losing a big piece. You don't know how things are going to go once you lose a guy like Brian Daboll. But the exciting aspect of it is you get a new shake. You get a new look. What is going to come from that hire? These are the exciting things that we get to look forward to for the coming season. So for this season, of course, the Super Bowl is this coming week, but you can't have the Super Bowl without the Pro Bowl, and that was yesterday. It's terrible. The Pro Bowl is awful, and it's always been bad. It's always been bad. I can't remember when it was ever watchable, but is it just me, or is yesterday the first time that they legitimately did not tackle? I remember watching the Pro Bowl as a kid. I don't remember ever sitting there waiting for somebody to get hit. They were playing padded 2-hand touch. Just awful. It's amazing to me. The NFL far and away is the best professional sports league in the United States. Not even close. Most eyes, most competitive, just flat out the best. But for some reason, they have by far the worst way to celebrate the best players of the year. You don't even need to watch the game to know how much of a joke the Pro Bowl is when Mac Jones is the starting or is the rotational quarterback for the AFC. I mean, that's all you need to see. You don't even need to watch the game to know it's a joke. Mac Jones is representing the AFC at quarterback for the Pro Bowl. Moving forward, I never want to hear the Pro Bowl being linked to a Hall of Fame resume ever again. Ever again. It should only be all pro votes, in what you did on the field. I'm done hearing, 8-time Pro Bowl. It doesn't mean a damn thing. It doesn't mean a damn thing. Mac Jones, Pro Bowler this year. Josh Allen, alternate. And I don't blame Josh Allen. He made the right choice. Go play golf over the weekend. That's what I'd rather do. I would much rather go and play golf at Pebble Beach than play 2-hand touch in a joke all-star game. I mean, you look at the MLB, the NBA, they do it right. The NHL, it's awesome. Those are big weekends. And I think that the problem is, the NHL, they have the skills competition. The NBA, they have the dunk contest. MLB, of course, has the home run derby. You can't really do stuff like that for football. And then, of course, when you bring in the element of, the intensity of the game and the physicality, none of these guys want to go out there and get hit and get injured for a meaningless game. So I don't really know what the solution is. They're never going to get rid of it because even though everybody says they don't watch it, clearly somebody's watching it. I mean, I had it on for a bit just because there was nothing else on. I watched Diggs line up at cornerback. That was fun. But I literally just flicked it on because there was nothing else on. And even when I had it on, I couldn't bear how bad it was. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is there. If anything, they should really just dumb it down to basically what it already is, but at least own it. It should just be a flag football game or a 2-hand touch game. Maybe that would be more fun. That would be more exciting. But having these guys gear up and go out there, it's just kind of a mockery of the league to me. Like, it's supposed to be a celebration of the best players throughout the year. One, it's not. The best players aren't on the field. They're just not. I mean, how many times do I got to say it? Mac Jones is the quarterback for the AFC. It's just a joke. And on top of it, they're not even playing. And to me, I just, the NFL is by far the best. I just wish they could find a way to perfect the All-Star weekend, so to speak. I wish they could find a way to better represent these players. So, that's my one takeaway from it. But obviously, like everything else, it's just not going to change. There's no reason to change it. Obviously, even though everybody hates it, they just don't have a necessary. They don't have a reason to change it. It still makes money. Somehow people still watch it. But I saw that clip that came up today of Brian Moorman getting absolutely train wrecked. Who was it? Lawrence Taylor? I can't even remember who the hell it was. Probably, I don't even know. But whoever the hell it was, absolutely just knocking the dust off of Brian Moorman however many years ago in the Pro Bowl. And you watch that, and then you watch whatever the hell was on yesterday. And I don't know. I mean, it's clear that everybody who's been selected for this game, and I said Lawrence Taylor, I didn't know it was Sean Taylor. Yeah. Thank you, Ronald. So it just goes to show you, over not that long of a time span, it's gone from that being, that's the reality in the NFL in itself. A hit like that, not only on a Pro Bowl, in a Pro Bowl game, but in the regular season, oh my God, you're out of the league for that type of hit. I'm not saying I'm advocating for Brian Moorman getting sent to a different universe in the Pro Bowl game. I'm not advocating for that. But I'm also not advocating for two-hand touch either. I mean, at the end of the day, I've already spent enough time talking about this. It's the Pro Bowl. Who cares? I just wish the NFL could find a way to make it better, because it's already the greatest game on earth. It's the greatest professional league. It's just that out of all the sports leagues, they by far have the worst way to celebrate their quote-unquote best players of the year. So where we will see real football, and it's not two-hand touch, it's for the Lombardi Trophy. It's the real deal. That's the Super Bowl, the bowl that actually everybody cares about, obviously, not the Pro Bowl. The Super Bowl is this coming Sunday. And once again, man, I can't get enough of it. The Cincinnati Bengals and the LA Rams this coming Sunday, Super Bowl 50. Super exciting. Savor it, folks, because this is the last weekend of football until September. This is the worst time of the year. February to May. I mean, because the summer, at least you have stuff to do, right? What are you doing from February to May? You're doing nothing. You're working. You got nothing, right? I mean, if not for anything else, the Bills are something to look forward to every damn week. Even when they weren't good, the Bills were on, right? And when football ends, man, you just feel that emptiness. So even though the Bills won't be in the game this coming Sunday, it's still football. Cherish it. And we're going to talk about that game with a big LA Rams fan, my good friend, Ryan Ram Edinger. He's around the corner. We'll talk about the Super Bowl right after this quick message from our friends over at NordVPN.
Are you out of market, but the NFL Sunday ticket is just too expensive? Hey, this is Pierre the Kingpin from the Buffalo Fanatics, and do we have a deal for you? Watching all NFL games live while having the ability to watch the replay whenever you'd like is what makes the NFL Sunday ticket so popular. The issue is the pricing is just outrageous. Getting DAZN along with NordVPN will cut that price in half. Here are the details. Go to supportbf.com and sign up for DAZN. Then go back and sign up for NordVPN. Once done, just switch your VPN to Canada, then sign into DAZN. Now sit back and enjoy some football. It's the Kingpin, and I'm out.
Super Bowl Sunday, baby. It's coming up, and here he is, my good friend, Ryan Ram Edinger, the big Rams fan who in a brief stint here, last few years, has been able to experience now 2 Super Bowls. My first question for you, Red, will we see the Rams score a touchdown in this Super Bowl, at least, unlike the last time we moved there?
My God, I hope so. It was a brutal game the last time out. Sean McVay, well, I love him, and he's been to the playoffs in 4 of the 5 seasons that he has now been the head coach. He has a tendency to not perform well in the biggest spots. Last week, we saw him try to choke the game away with 2 god-awful challenges and leave us with no timeouts in a situation where we certainly would have benefited from having some. We were able to pull it out, and you know me, man. I've been able to smell myself for like 2 weeks straight. I've been putting on deodorant 2-3 times a day. It's nerve-wracking. And thank you for reminding me the emptiness that comes after football.
I wanted to talk to you about that because I know out of anybody else that I know that you feel that the most. That's a good way to put it, I guess. How does it? And I guess you won't know this until it happens. But do you think that emptiness will be filled in a way if you're able to enjoy it?
It's what I've always assumed is that
right.
You'll just sail to the next season. You're on cloud 9. You're riding high the whole off season. Anything can happen. It's like, whatever, man, we got that ring.
See, that's how I feel. Like I see it the way I've always viewed it. And I'm sure everybody in here probably feels the same way, but you have these fairy tale visions of what the Bills winning the Super Bowl would be like. And I've always thought that you literally would just party for months. I don't think it would end. I think you would blink. You'd wake up and the season would be back to starting again because you had no idea where the last few months went.
Yeah, as a player, I would imagine it'd be quite a blur, literally and figuratively.
Especially out in LA now, right?
Camp.
I mean, think about it. You're already out there. You're in the the most entertainment centric city in the world, and if you win, you got months to party in LA, which is nuts. Let's start there, Ram. 2 Super Bowls in a row where the home team from the NFC is playing at home. Any benefit to that in your mind for the Rams?
I think the average fan has kind of been priced out of the Super Bowl, and especially if you've seen the ticket prices for this year's in LA, it's absurd. So
it costs $100 to park. I heard it cost $100 to park for a preseason game there at SoFi.
I don't know what it costs. I don't know what it costs to park at the stadium, but I know that it must be ridiculous because there was a hospital that was charging $500. It's like only a half-mile walk or so. $500 to park and then walk half a mile to the stadium.
For a regular season game or for the Super Bowl coming up?
For the conference championship last week. It was a bit insane, but the average fan is priced out of the big game.
You can get Bills season tickets for $500.
Oh yes.
Pricing. Listen, you can't even
parking. You can show up in some guy's you show up in Joe Blow's driveway and give him
That's
a 10.
every week.
It's all
Me
good.
and my dad literally park in somebody's lawn every week. $20. The guy probably cleans up. He's probably paying his mortgage with it. He's happy. I'm happy. $500. You wouldn't see a person at the game in Buffalo.
I mean, it's what's beautiful about the NFL to me, though. That you have these totally different marketplaces.
Yeah,
like Buffalo, Cincinnati, and Green Bay, Wisconsin, compared to LA, New York, Chicago.
Well, that's the beauty of the NFL. And I think that's why this matchup is so intriguing because you kind of have 2 of those elements, right? You have LA, which everybody knows. I mean, it's LA, right? But then you have Cincinnati and
it's brand new and it's shiny. Yeah. The team just moved back. The stadium's gorgeous. It's just open.
That stadium looks like it was dropped from a Martian. It's unbelievable. It looks like it belongs on Mars.
I gotta get out there. It's like dug into the earth. It's not technically a dome, but enclosed by this glass hat that has
it looks like a
on
UFO.
The top. It's insane.
All right, so Ram, one thing I got a lot of people bringing up to me as we approach the offseason here for the Bills, I had it brought up a lot last week when we were just kind of winding down the season. The one thing that I was brought to my attention was, how are the Bills going to approach the offseason, and should they approach it in a similar way to how the Rams just did, where they're clearly in win now mode. So in order to take advantage of that, they mortgage their entire future. They get rid of nearly every first round draft pick at their disposal. They sign any big name that wound up being free. Von Miller, obviously, of Odell Beckham, who has completely resurfaced over the last couple of weeks. And clearly we know that Cleveland was the issue. It wasn't Odell. Talk to me about how the Rams have gotten to this point and how you feel about what has been spent to get there.
Well, having lived with me for a few years, you know how much I love the NFL draft. And it is one of my favorite days of the year. It's one of those days during that empty period we talked about that is joyful.
Right.
And I haven't gotten to experience that first round pick joy, since we had the first overall pick. We traded up for the first overall pick and got
For your
Jared Goff.
best buddy Goff. Yeah.
Now we got to a Super Bowl with Goff. As far as I'm concerned, Stafford is no more than Goff until he wins the Super Bowl. We got just as far with Goff. But that being said, I really do like our strategy of trading these first round picks. We have, and in comparing to like the Bills situation heading into this offseason, they traded a first round pick and got Stephon Diggs out of it. And that worked out pretty damn well for them. You have to hit on these trades, but it's harder to hit on those late first round draft picks than it is when you're picking towards the top. So sometimes it is going to be more valuable. I mean, I think the Cowboys made the right decision when they traded a first round draft pick for Amari Cooper. If you can get a guy who's a proven talent in this league, I think it's better than picking somebody in the late 20s.
That to me is the inevitable aspect of it. And I love that that's how the Rams view it, because I don't think enough teams in the NFL do. Why take a waiver on the draft? Why roll the dice when you have the opportunity to bring in guys who are already proven commodities? And I mean, you look at it, the fact that you move off of Goff when you do is pretty impressive in itself, right? Most teams would have rode that out. I mean, you look at the Giants. I look at them as a perfect example. They're going to just continue to mosey on with Daniel Jones, at least for this season. I think 2 years ago, it was already pretty obvious that Daniel Jones isn't going to be the guy, right? For Sean McVay, rather, you look at Goff, you look at what you have for that team, and Goff isn't going to get it done. Not only on this team, but I look at the rest of the league and I see what's getting it done. My guy ain't it. Now, Matt Stafford, the unique part about him is that when you look at his career, everybody always thought he was the guy, but the organization that he was in never allowed him to quite reach that potential. That to me is why this story is so great for him. The 1 year he gets out of Detroit, and here he is, the 1 year. And the crazy way to look at it, right? I look at it from Aaron Rodgers' perspective, which is nuts, right? You look at Tom Brady, his first year with a new team in the NFC, he goes to the Super Bowl and wins it. You look at Matt Stafford, his first opportunity for a new team in the NFC, he goes to the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers, who we might consider to be one of, if not the greatest to play the position, he's got one Super Bowl ring with the Green Bay Packers. And Tom Brady can match that in the NFC, and Matt Stafford can do the same this coming week. Talk to me about Matt Stafford and how much of a difference it's been getting him in the organization, replacing Goff with him.
It was a lot of excitement as soon as we got him. I mean, everyone's seen the talent. I mean, if you look at a highlight tape of Matthew Stafford, it's a whole hell of a lot different than watching the Lions as a whole. He can make the throws. That's a fact. And if you know football, you knew that heading into it. He's got the arm angles, the sidearm. He did a few Mahomes-ish things. I'm not going to say anything near that outlandish, but
he's a gunslinger in that regard.
He thinks he can make every throw. Yeah. He really does. And it shows on the plays where he throws the bad interceptions. There's some where it's like
the one against the Titans.
McVay called in.
Yeah,
the one against
Titans. The Titans, right? Wasn't that the one he had in the back of the end zone? He had a few
that
weeks
that
there.
Was
it was brutal for him. Yeah,
3 weeks in a row with a pick six. We lost every game.
Yeah,
it was. I mean, we were 7-1 before that, and I remember making the joke that, oh my God, I can't believe a home team, 55 years, a home team had never won the Super Bowl. Now it's going to happen 2 years in a row. And then we lose 3 games in a row. And I was like, oh my God, this is like last year, our quarterback's giving away games. And that's why up until this, I still say that he's no more than Goff to me, unless he wins the Super Bowl. We got there with Goff. And if he was supposedly the problem, if that was McVay's issue, his quarterback, he's got his guy now. We've got to get it done. And we've got a dream matchup. We really do.
100%. And that's why it hurts for all of us so much here as Bills fans, because it was our dream scenario too. It was 100% our dream scenario.
I know it's kills Bills fans to hear it, but I can't help but think we're 13 seconds away from seeing Rams Bills in the Super Bowl.
No question about it. And everybody believes that. I mean, I don't see the Bills were too hot to have done what the Chiefs did last week in blowing that 21-3 lead. I just didn't see the Bills doing that. But, and this is what's going to segue into my next question that I'm interested in hearing from you. Is the part of the Bengals that concerns you the most the fact that they just cannot seem to die? They cannot lose. 9 sacks, 21-3. It doesn't matter. They are finding a way to win at the end. Is that the most concerning element to you facing the Bengals, or is it something else?
I'd say that's 100%. That's 100% the most concerning element, considering their propensity to find a way to win at the end of games and our propensity to get ahead and let a team back in. We saw it in week 18 against the 49ers. We saw it in the divisional round against the Buccaneers. We have a tendency to get a little bit complacent when we get ahead. And the Bengals are this never say die team that just has something about them. And their offense scares me. I think that they have weapons all over the field. They have Joe Mixon, they have T. Higgins, they have Tyler Boyd, and they have this breakout rookie of the year stud.
When you look at their offense, Ram, they scare me in the fact that every single key player on that offense is young. Every one of them. I mean, you look at the future for the Bengals. I mean, how stoked do you got to be right now to be a Cincy fan? You're not only going to the Super Bowl, obviously you're stoked, but you were never supposed to be there, and the future is brighter than just about any other team in the league.
Never supposed to be there. And no. Zach Taylor was supposed to be probably on the hot seat coming into this year. Tell me if he didn't make something happen. And I was on him for Coach of the Year at about week 16, 17.
Well, that's the craziness of the NFL coaching circle, where you go from the hot seat to you have your players go out and pull off unbelievable victories, and now Zach Taylor will have a job for that forever. You know what I mean? He'll always be considered for a job. Exactly. It's crazy.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
And because he's doing it so young that he's got that GMs and owners they're gonna assume, whether they're right or not, that he's still got so much more room to grow. And he's always going to be considered for positions like that. Once you get to the Super Bowl, I mean, Doug Peterson's out of the league for a year. He wins the Super Bowl. Then he's got 2 not horrible seasons, 9 wins. Then he's out of the league and he's back right at 1 year.
It's unbelievable. Now, Ram, talk to me about how big last week was. Sean McVay could not get over Kyle Shanahan. He does it in the biggest spot. How much confidence do you think that gives the team going into the Super Bowl, knowing the one thing they could not do, they finally get it done?
I mean, I think the team has had the right mindset all along. They had the right, they answered all the questions about, not being able to beat the 49ers in the right way. That they weren't worried about the past 6 games. They were only worried about the matchup in front of them. It's one game. We're going to go 1-0 this week. I think that's obviously the mindset you have to have going into the Super Bowl, that this is it. This is your one game. There's obviously nothing after this. So getting over that hump, I think it should give them some confidence. But I think it's too early. Whether they're saying it or not, I think it does have to give them some confidence. And I don't know, man. Sean McVay has not. He's not done well again. He doesn't have a Saban-like record by any means against his old assistants. He's right. His buddy Shanahan, not that Shanahan coached under him, but
that tree is insane. Him, LaFleur, Shanahan, it's unbelievable how
everything McVay touches is turning to gold. Like the Packers, they've choked in the big spots, but he's won 13, and 14 games in the regular season now.
Yeah. In a variety of different ways.
If he keeps that up, he'll have the greatest winning percentage of all time. Zach Taylor is now taking the Cincinnati Bengals to a Super Bowl. And now everyone wants a piece. They just hired the Vikings just hired our OC Kevin O'Connell, and the Chargers hired Brandon Staley last year, our defensive coordinator. Everyone wants a piece of our coaching staff.
Let's tie it into the Bills and our fan base, Ram, because a lot of people forget during the Jeff Fisher days with the Rams, the Rams have been so good recently. People forget how bad they really were. In fact, they had way worse seasons under Jeff Fisher than the Bills ever had during the drought. Just some abysmal seasons. And now
those seasons may have actually come before Jeff Fisher. We're talking Steve Spagnuolo.
A litany of guys, right?
Oh
yeah.
Who was the one in 15? We have the worst 5-year stretch in the history of the NFL at 15-65, an average of a 3-13 record.
No kidding. I did not know that.
Yeah, those some bleak times.
So, all right, that speaks for itself. We feel like we got
the first overall pick and took Sam Bradford. That was our.
Hey, I thought everybody thought he could have been the savior. We all watched Sam Bradford in college. You're not going to know that pick.
50 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I was as excited as anybody. I bought a jersey rookie year. That's why I don't do it anymore. That's why we're rocking Falk.
I wait
until they're a legend. I got to get a 99 for Donald because he's already 8-time first team All Pro. But I just think that's my little self.
That's the way to do it, because if you get the Donald, you can wear it till the end of time. Now, Ram wears a Youth XL. He likes to brag at the fact that he can still get jerseys on the cheap, unlike us big fellas. I still have Ram's girly jersey in my closet from college. I accidentally brought it home with me. Ram said to burn it. I still have it for some reason. Tried to try it on one day just for fun, and I couldn't even get it over my head. Are you going to buy a new jersey with the Super Bowl patch coming up here? Are you going to treat yourself? Are you going to finally get something new?
Here's the thing, Ziva. You know how much I hate this new logo and these new jerseys. They're awful.
The white ones are so bad. They're so bad.
Well, but the one that they're wearing in the Super Bowl is better than the one that they introduced. That bone. They called it bone.
Bone's
it's like
terrible.
An off-white. It looks awful. It needs to be burned with the hottest of fire. But I can't not. I'm gonna buy tons and tons and tons of merchandise if we win the Super Bowl. Obviously, I'll be happy about it, but I would be happier if I was buying a jersey that looked like this. This is all the fans wanted. It was obvious. We vocalized it, and that they really screwed up that redesign. I can't emphasize that enough. But I only have one thing that has the new logo on it, and it's a pair of socks because I really don't want it to show.
Well, they went ahead and fixed what wasn't broken. There was nothing wrong with the logo whatsoever. The new one doesn't even. I don't even know what it looks like. It looks like a dead ram. It looks like it's bones. Yes. You know what I mean?
The angry ram was fine. Absolutely
more than fine. So tying it back to the point I was trying to make, those god awful years for you as a fan, and you're experiencing this. Just give us Bills Mafia members a gleam of hope. You go from that to this. What does it feel like? Like, walk us through. You got the week of anticipation here. What is this like for you? How do you feel, and how do you go through the week?
Like I said, I got to put on deodorant twice a day. I'm sweating so much. It's disgusting how much anxiety, something that will have no impact on my daily life after the game, actually has on my daily life before and after the game. If we lose this game, it's like the groundhog didn't see it's saw a shadow. Talking 6 more weeks. Just pure depression.
Yeah.
But the anticipation is something else. And I think you having made the playoffs now 3 consecutive years, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep. 4 of the last 5.
You're getting to the point I was at, where I think you guys made the Rams hadn't made the playoffs since 2004 when they made it in 2017. The Bills hadn't made it since 99 and made it the year after, right? 2018.
Yep.
So now you're getting to that point of the sustained success where it feels good. But you're kind of getting used to it.
Right.
I think you got to remind yourself of how brutal it used to be. When you were hoping, when going into the season, you'd still have the optimism. You'd say 12-4 and we'd all laugh at you. But how fast it can turn around. Our buddy Alex, a big Bucks fan, got us, he was in the trenches, got pulled out of the trenches by Brady, and my God, how quickly it looks like he's going back to him.
Oh my God.
They got a good 50.
That's an emotional roller coaster. I don't know if I could survive. Like if we got Allen and then it was just done, you know what I mean? Like once you taste that, you're chasing that forever. You know what I mean? That's the problem.
I know.
That was the issue with Brady. Like it's obviously worth it. You want a ring, right? But man, you get that taste and they're going to be chasing that drag until the end of time now.
As a fan, I think most fans in their chase of rings are, since they don't have to do any work for it, they're like Brady about it. They once they taste it, they want more. But like Boston fans, they have no idea. The Boston sports fans have zero clue how good they've had it over the past 30 years. It's unbelievable. And my dad was just telling me that Bob Ryan, the Boston Globe writer, said on the Sports Reporters podcast that Boston has had a first ballot all-pro player playing for one of their franchises since 1925.
For every single major sport?
Actively playing.
Jesus Christ.
Like, from Bill Russell at some point to Tom Brady to at some point, there was a first ballot active Hall of Famer actively playing. So when those fans have no idea how good they've had it because they haven't had it bad ever.
Well, that's why this year has been so incredible to watch them utterly implode on themselves. The Patriots fans in particular. Like the fact that they think that they wanted Mac Jones to so desperately be, a young version of Brady. They wanted the Patriots. And the thing is,
all the comparisons to the early Brady.
But the best part about this year was the Patriots did just enough to make them think like they were really going to be back again because they were the 1 seed at like week 14. You don't really think about it that way, but it was the truth. And then for the Bills to just dismantle them the way they did in the wild card. It was just like I speak for everyone here
because they got the win back in the regular season, but it was nothing. I mean, it was perfect game.
Yeah.
2 missed extra points. Other than that, 7 drives, 7 touchdowns. It's a perfect game.
That's what I said after the. I can remember in the same year that Chiefs loss was, we did get to experience the perfect game. You know what I mean? So that's the one silver lining, I guess. So
and it being against New England had to just mean something.
Well,
absolutely.
That was everything. I mean, that game against, if that game was against
the hell out of Arizona, we always beat the hell out of Arizona.
Exactly. Like if that game was against the Jets, it would have been miraculous. The fact that it was against who it was in that position at home in the playoffs, it was wild. All right, Ram, it's put up or shut up time. Big gambler, obviously. We got the Rams at -3.5 or 4 right now on most books. Rams win and why? Bengals win and why? And then your overall prediction.
I feel like the Rams have more paths to victory than the Bengals. The Rams have a better defense by far. I think they have the better players on the football field overall. We may have.
The game to use come down to the D line versus the O line, right? I mean, that's the game.
That's what I believe will be the game. And obviously, we have a far superior D line to their O line. The Titans put Burrow under a ton of duress, and Tannehill just essentially gave the game away. I know Stafford is more than capable of giving games away. I saw him do it multiple times this year.
All right.
But I think if the Titans can manage 9 sacks and make Burrow's life that kind of a living, and especially Jeffrey Simmons had 3 of them coming from the inside as a defensive tackle. Aaron Donald is the best defensive player in football. I'm sick of hearing Steelers fans tell me that there's an argument to be made for There is no argument to be made for anybody. If your coach, if your defensive coordinator tried to block Aaron Donald in the same way he tried to block TJ Watt, Aaron Donald would have 35 sacks and 45 forced fumbles somehow. It would happen. I think that he is a game wrecker. I think that he's going to leave his mark on this game for sure. I think that Jalen Ramsey can shut down Jamar Chase. He's a he's a great receiver, but he's a young receiver. And Jalen Ramsey is in his prime, and he tends to show up in the big game. He dropped a pick 6 against Jimmy Garoppolo in that NFC Championship game, but the defense ended up making the plays to win the game. I think the defense is what's going to have to win us the game. I've said it all year that I think our defense is what's going to lead us to a championship. I think Stafford really just has to play his role and play a clean game. As long as he is turnover free, I think the Rams win. I think the midseason bet that I placed at plus 550 pays out at $1,100 to the Ram. And I think part of me wants to hedge to guarantee myself some money, but all of me will be doubling down.
I'd leave it. Yeah, no doubt. So the Rams win if the D-line's dominant. How do you see – because we know that the Bengals, their O-line isn't going to just magically show up. So how do the Bengals get past your Rams? What's the weakness you see where there could be some exploitation? Bengals somehow find a way.
Joe Burrow has consistently found a way to make plays. If guys can get open in that second level, again, in the linebacker, and the Rams tend to play a lot of zone. If they can tend to get open in the middle, if they can get open in the middle of the field, the Bengals have some guys that are really, really good after the catch, and they can make some plays. They're gonna have to score to win this. I mean, I just don't see them winning without putting up 27, 30 points. So their path to victory in my book is Joe Burrow continuing to, arrive.
He just goes off his plank. He just goes nuts.
He's showing up in these. He hasn't had the best games in these playoffs, but he's shown he's had better games in his career than he's had during this postseason. But he's shown up when it matters, and if he can do that again.
It's like Mark's saying, he really has
Richard
won.
Forbes asking how big are the corners. I mean, Jalen Ramsey, 6'1", 210 pounds. He's just as big as Jamar Chase. T. Higgins is a tall man, but like I said, we play a lot of zone. He's not just going to follow Chase around the field. I'm so excited for this game, Z-Bot. It's unbelievable.
Does Stafford concern you at all in this game?
I mean, the Bengals secondary has been sus, and they have been extremely prone to giving up the big play. And Stafford,
to that point, they also found a way to contain Mahomes completely for an entire half.
That is true. And Mahomes looked like himself at the start of the year, trying to force things, and
that was wild.
They really just stepped up for a half. Holding the Chiefs to 3 points for an entire half is just you got to take your hats off to them. And so maybe I'm underselling their defense, but I'm not. I don't want to put
you got too much stock. Of both. You got examples of both.
Exactly. 100%. I also I have the example of them at home letting Justin Herbert put 48 points on their head.
Right.
Like there were a couple of games where their defense was they were just getting gashed for big play after big play. And Stafford loves to throw that deep ball. And I mean, it seems like on some of the interceptions, every play that McVay calls in a deep ball, he goes, oh, well, I'm going to take the shot, whether it's there or not.
Right.
And so if the Bengals secondary can have a couple of cracks, like they can, like they've shown that they can, I think the floodgates could open early. I think I might take the Rams on an alternate spread. I think this might not be the best Super Bowl ever, just like the last one we were in, but in my favor.
So with that said, your final score prediction, and does the game go over or under?
All right. The over-under is set at what, 46.5? I
believe so. That seems to be right on the nose in my mind.
I mean, I had a not to toot my own horn, okay?
Go ahead,
but I had a fantastic year betting on the NFL. Once it got to the playoffs,
well, you don't want to hear about his years prior to that. Just listen to the glory.
No. Please don't follow me on the Action Network. You can see the glory year. It was glorious.
Just follow him and do the complete opposite, and you will be in good shape.
This is not true anymore. This used to be a valid joke.
All right, so let's hear it. He's the guru. What's the play? Give the people the play this coming weekend.
I like the Rams. I like the Rams minus the 3.5 a lot. Obviously, I have them. If I didn't, I'd hedge the bet. I have no problem betting against my own team. I've done it many times. Final score prediction. Give me the Rams. Give me. I know. I love my unders, but I think they get it done in a bit of an exciting game. Give me the Rams, 35-24.
Okay, so you're taking a pretty decent over there, then.
Yes.
Okay.
I think the Rams are good. I think Stafford shines in his first chance to win a Super Bowl. I think he takes the mic after winning Super Bowl MVP and curses the city of Detroit for another 50 years, just like the last time they traded a quarterback.
Yeah, no kidding. Before I let you ride out of here, Ed, I got two more questions for you. One, my man Jeff King coming in, hoping I feel better. Jeff checked in on me after the bad loss, which I really appreciated because he knew I was hurting big time bad. So I appreciate you reaching out, Jeff. It's all love over here. I really appreciate you, Jeff. Jeff wants to know if there's any edge rushers that are out in free agency that could possibly make their way to Buffalo. I don't know. Off the top of your head, Ram, any DNs on free agency that come to mind? Nothing really coming to mind for me. I mean, obviously.
The Bills run a 4-3, don't they?
For the majority of the entire season, they were running nickel, like just nonstop. So, I mean, they have good young presence on that line, but obviously everybody's looking for that dominant guy. Everybody wants what you have. Everybody wants a Donald. They're not out there. Von
Miller's a guy who's going to be available if the Rams aren't able to re-sign him. He's obviously getting up there in age, but he's started to step it up this postseason. I think if you put him on a D line that's already solid as the Bills is, he could still put up a double-digit sack season for sure.
The problem I think is that, everybody wants, you see what Donald can do. You see what Watt can do. You see what Bosa can do. Everybody wants that, but it's like, it's like seeing what Allen and Mahomes do. Everybody wants that too. I mean, you take for granted when you have it, you know what I mean? But the problem is actually securing it. Everybody wants that. But I think what we have right now on the line, it's young talent. I think there's potential there. It's just, there's not any overall game breaker like you were talking about in regard to Donald. That's
not something you find every day. And, no. I remember when people were comparing Ed Oliver to Aaron Donald as he came into the league, and it was just,
that's not fair.
To me, it's not fair to do to him, and it's comical to do to a Rams fan.
No, that's not
fair. Speaking of your boy who checked in on you after the bad week,
Yeah.
Speaking of bad weeks, although the Rams did make the divisional.
Oh God!
I did miss a flight to I did miss a flight to Tampa Bay. I was supposed to be at that game. So
to make everybody here feel better about the divisional loss to the Chiefs, Ram, go ahead and give them your quick story. It makes everybody feel a little bit better about themselves, I'm sure.
So I had down my Alex. We talked about him earlier. Bucs fan. His father has season tickets to Tampa games, and he offered kindly, very generously. I still thank him, even though I didn't get to make it, to let me have a ticket for the game. Head down to the island, hang with my buddy Alex for a couple days. Sunday morning was the flight. We get up and I can't find my wallet. It's a tale as old as time. Zebot, having lived with me for a few years, knows how prone I am to losing
He'd lose his ass
two.
if it wasn't attached to the backside of him, essentially.
Yes. If it was,
but you tell him though, you were at the airport.
We're there.
You're ready to board.
We're looking things up that say, okay, you can fly if you don't have your ID, but it's going to take longer for your security check. So get there early. We get there as soon as we can. I have to go through a long security check. They ask me for all kinds of information. And this guy, the TSA agent is on a phone with someone who I assume is in front of a big computer with a big database. And he's asking me my name, my date of birth, my social number, my place of birth, a family member's place of birth and date of birth. And it all checks out. I'm like, he's explaining to me how the process is going to work. And I'm like, buddy, I'm not trying to commit fraud here. I'm me. Just get it over with. I got a flight to make.
Yeah.
After this call, he did try to push me through security. And but then when I got to the bag check, since I was trying to fly with no ID, they had to take out everything that was in my bag and check every pocket of every article of clothing. And I run to the gate and the plane's sitting there, but the gate's locked. And I call Alex.
I mean, imagine you got free tickets to a Bills divisional game. And not
one where you have to sit through that weather, man.
Yeah. You're out in beautiful Tampa. The Rams, it was a great game. They win. And what makes you feel even worse now was Brady's last game. Yeah.
Ticket could have been worth thousands of dollars. The stub could be worth, oh my.
Well, maybe you can still get the stub as a commemorative token.
No, he scalped the ticket. I told
sure.
I was like, please, if he can sell it, let him sell it. Don't. I'm such an idiot.
Ram. Okay, before I let you go, after that just gut wrenching story, Aaron Donald MVP sleeper for Sunday.
I've got a little bet on him.
What's the odds at?
18-1. I mean, wow. if you're looking for a value play, the Bengals line is not great. Aaron Donald redefines great. And
we're talking
all it's going to take out of him is 2 sacks, 3 sacks. And if he gets that forced fumble, it's damn near a lock. If it's a low scoring game,
right?
And
exactly.
And if he has a good defensive game, but if he gets that forced fumble and it turns into points, I think it could be a lock for him. And I know it's a big time quarterback award, but
I'd love to see it. Nothing I'd love to see more than a defensive player.
Defensive MVP. I've said our defense good. And I think Ramsey's got a shot to do it too. I mean, he could very well have a huge game and a pick. If he returns it for a touchdown, that'll increase the chances of getting MVP very, very greatly. Yep. So I think there's somebody grew up with Aaron Donald.
I'm seeing that. That's crazy.
Incredible.
And he lives in Tyler Boyd's neighborhood, so he's got some.
His dad had him lifting weights since he was like 7 years old. That's why he's as jacked as he is. Yes. Oh my God.
You don't get like that overnight. You do not get like that overnight.
Dude, there's not a defensive tackle built like that in the league.
Well, Myles Garrett is. Good God. I mean, I don't even know what the. I mean,
you know what's funny is that I saw a picture of Myles Garrett with Shaq on Twitter the other day.
Yeah.
And it just like,
no, it's not even close.
Miles Garrett looks like the biggest human being ever when he's on a football field. And then you compare him to Shaq and it's like, what?
I saw a picture with him and Steph Curry, and he looks small next to Steph Curry. Just goes to show you how gigantic NBA players are.
NBA players, your tallest friend would be one of the shortest NBA players.
I know, it's crazy. Like, you look at Steph Curry on the court, you think he's your height, right? And then you get him next to Miles Garrett, and you're like,
he's almost a foot taller than me.
All right, Red. Best of freaking luck. I'll be talking to you all week, but thanks for hopping on, giving us some insight. We wish we were playing in this one, but
I wish we were playing against you. It'd be a much more nerve-wracking matchup.
Rams' mom's a big Bills fan, so that would have been a big.
I lived with Z-Bot, and I've had my mother. So I hate people who say they have a second favorite team.
No,
the Bills are kind of my second favorite team by default.
Yeah. Ram came up and went to a game with me this year. Unfortunately, it was the damn Colts game, which was easily probably the worst game of the year. So, thanks for enjoying that one with me, Red. Appreciate it.
I know you appreciate some production value. How about I went this up in about 10 minutes earlier today.
Now,
a backdrop for you?
If memory serves me correct, that used to be at the old college house, right on the wall.
Of course.
Look at that.
We had one for every team.
We did. And our college setup was great. We had a Giants fan, 3 Bills fans, and a Rams fan. We had those flags. And then in the corner of the living room, we had a Tom Brady jersey on the wall with a big, gigantic red X through it. That's what greeted you when you walked into the living room. It was great. Red.
No wonder we didn't get our security deposit back.
No kidding. No. Well, that and the landlord thought that the couch had bed bugs, and we really could not argue against that. So. Yeah. All right. On that note, Red, best of luck. Enjoy the week. I often find that the anticipation is almost as much fun as the actual event. So enjoy that. And for your sake,
when you're involved, it's actually unbearable.
I know. I hear you. For some sick reason, I get like pleasure out of it, like the anticipation, the build up. But I don't know what that feels like. So I'll take your word for it. You know, I will
have an aneurysm by week's end.
Well, I'll be rooting for you. Although I gotta say, I like both storylines here. I know.
I said this to my father yesterday. I don't want to hate Joe Burrow, and if he beats the Rams in the Super Bowl, I can't not hate Joe Burrow.
Of course, like when you lose to Brady, it's easy. You already have. It's already that's easy.
Been done twice.
At the same time, I guess if there's any silver lining at all. You're losing to a team whose fan base just so desperately needs it.
They need it. They need it.
You know, that's the nice thing.
Their first playoff road win this year.
Like, I looked at it, if the Bills had gone to the AFC Championship and lost to the Bengals, it obviously would have sucked complete ass. But I could have told myself, at least it was the Bengals, not the Chiefs, not the Patriots. That's how I could have looked at it.
In the first year with the Chiefs hadn't won since Super Bowl IV, so it was not so hard to root for them when you had no horse in the race. In my case,
exactly.
But now they've been there 4 years in a row, and you're getting a little sick of it. And it's lovely to see all the talent, all the young quarterbacks in the AFC. That's going to be so much fun to watch over the next few years.
And it's got to make you feel good because there's none of that right now in the NFC. And Matt Stafford is,
we got a few more years of Stafford, and it's looking wide open. As many of the, as many first round picks as we've traded away, our key guys are still under contract for a few years, and we can have Robert Woods come back and be a wide receiver 3 next year. If we can,
that's the other thing people forget, man, how big Woods has been, and he hasn't been in weeks. So crazy stuff. Well, hey, Red, best of luck. I'll be talking to you throughout the week, but enjoy the anticipation, and best of luck to the Rams on Super Bowl Sunday, my friend.
Absolutely. Go Bills. Go Bills.
Go Bills, baby. Thanks for joining, Red. My man, Ryan Ram Edinger, giving us a little bit of insight on Super Bowl Sunday from the Rams' perspective. Like we were just talking about, man, a rare Super Bowl where I don't necessarily have a dog in the fight. I hope for just a good game. Like usually you're rooting heavily against Tom Brady, of course, or, if not Tom Brady, there's some reason to have a rooting interest. In this one, I think it's 2 great storylines. You got Matt Stafford and you have the Cincinnati Bengals. So I think that's a cool way to look at it. And like I said, all I'm hoping for is a damn good game. And the playoffs have been extraordinary. They have been absolutely awesome. So it would be very fitting to have the year cap off with another great game. So we will discuss that game a week from tonight, next Monday night, right here on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel. On the smoke break, we'll have an entire recap of that Super Bowl. Hopefully it's a good one. So until then, enjoy the week, enjoy the Super Bowl. And I believe Monday is Valentine's Day. So get your Valentine cards ready for me next Monday. I'll see you Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel. Enjoy the Super Bowl, everybody. And as always, go Bills.